And we are live coming from the dirtiest South, Winston-Salem. Thank you for joining me on this mid-August night, I should say. A little over halfway through. We got the game on from Williamsport, Yankees in Detroit. Actually, a very good choice for this year. You got Schoolbowl pitching for Detroit. And you're getting to see, the Yankees lineup. Detroit's playing very well this year, better than what people thought. 0-0 and a bottom of the fourth. So I'm kind of glad for this game. And, a lot of good young talent and people that like to play the game. Everybody likes to play the game. I guess they show their joy while they're playing. What's up, Paul? Battery. Yeah. Well, you're in Atlanta. Ain't much clean in Atlanta either. Winston-Salem, here in this part, I don't know if it's hot and people's tempers are rearing or what, but it's a lot of gunplay over here in the Triad where I'm at. At least it ain't near me. So, but that's city living. It's actually the first time I've lived in a real city. Not a small town city that wants to be a city. But I stay away from all that noise. Had a great day. The Mets lost today. I didn't see the Braves win today, Carlo. I haven't seen any scores. The Mets just lost 2 or 3 against the Marlins. Just you can't do that where you're playing for a playoff spot. That's a no-go for me. I really think they should have made more trades and sold on the season. Yeah. I feel like with the Braves, my dad wants to count them out. I'm like, why? The 2 other teams that are better than them are already in the playoffs. They're better than the Mets, even with all their injuries. So who's going to – I still think they're going to get the 3rd spot. This year, nobody's expecting them to win. They might win. You got to get in it to win it. And all they need is 2 healthy pitchers to be pitching right. Look what the Texas Rangers did last year. And things can happen. I mean, they still have veterans. They still have talent on that team. I do not want to count the Braves out. I think they got one of the best managers in baseball. That's coming from a Mets fan. So I also don't understand. This is Players Weekend, and all they've done is use weird bats. I don't know what. I wish they would have went with the uniforms. I thought that was kind of fun with nicknames on the back and stuff. Just putting a number on the side of a hat and calling it Players Weekend and playing the game in Williamsport. I don't know. And I if I had to research it, I bet you it has something to do with Nike and Nike not want to make a one-off jersey. If I had to make a guess, that's probably what it is. But yeah, I was just this has been a wild baseball season that I thought would come down to a tighter and bigger playoff run. And I think it's just going to be a quiet end to the season, unless maybe a couple of spots in the top where there's some teams battling for the first position. But after last year, I don't know if you want to buy, right? I don't know if that's a good thing. So, hey, we got Yannick coming in from French Canada telling me Buenos Noches. He's a funky bilingual up. He's trilingual going on up there. I don't think any of the teams are expected to reach 95 wins. It's been a while since that happened. That's true. My dad's been keeping track on like how many teams with winning records and all of that. And so he said right now there's 12 teams with a losing record right now, which I don't find that bad because a lot of them are really close to 500. But he was saying like in 1955 there was I think 12 teams under 500 at the end of that season, and they only had 16 teams. So, uh, you know, I don't know if it's mediocrity or just level playing field. I don't know what's going on right now. We have some of the best talent I've seen in my lifetime. These young guys coming in, just balling straight up off the street. That's what's driving our prices up. Uh, for cards, because these rookies, they come straight out playing. They don't need 3 or 4 years on some of them to prove themselves. I mean, it's fun, right? In the last, since 2017, it seems like there's just the rookies are playing, just balling out and really looking good. I'm hoping that Mike will join us because I do have some questions from what I did yesterday. He said he might he didn't get much sleep. He's been working all weekend. So we'll see. But I do want to, touch on the Fanatics weekend. I've been trying to watch some stuff. I've been reading Suze, if you're not Yankees chick. She's worked for pretty much every predominant large company in our hobby space, but now she's working for CGC. I think she's the head of their what's up, Doc? I did get your text message, which I will talk about. Amari, what's going on? She works for CGC with their media, like online media. And she's been tweeting out stuff with Fanatics. She had some video today. I watched Victor had a good video talking about with one of his friends. Seems like, according to Victor, like the high end stuff and ultra high end and vintage wasn't doing well at the show. I mean, not everybody has money for ultra high end. So I don't know how many people are going to come through the door at any show, and a lot of ultra high end is going to get bought, right? Unless you have some big dealer or flipper out there that has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to burn on a flipper, you have to have buyers for that stuff. And if you come there with just the ultra high end, you got to have the stuff for people to buy. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, was like the core. There's a lot more people buying $20, $25 cards, picking up the $150 cards or the $200 card than it is the $1,500 card or the $20,000 card or $100,000 card. There's a lot more of us than it is of that. And I don't want Fanatics to lose that, and I reminded myself, it's Fanatics Fest, and Fanatics is more than Tops. I kind of forgot that this weekend a little bit, even during what I was talking about on my Saturday show. They're a apparel company. They got a lot of fires out there. What's up, Junk Wax Jr.? Yeah, collecting a budget. That's what my channel is about. I save up for one big show a year. I put money, I'll try to have extra money. I'm going to a show next Saturday, and I'll be happy with $200 in my pocket when I go. Try to get one card. If not, I'll, see what else they have. And if I get anything, I get some. If not, for me, going to the show is more than buying. It's people watching, just seeing what the vibe is. And back to Fanatics, I was getting on a tangent there. Fanatics is more than just Tops and, the apparel, the college. They're really big in college sports. I mean, you go to their site and they got apparel for everything. So, I kind of lost track of that because this wasn't just a card show. This was a fan fest for Fanatics. And I still don't understand the price. I mean, it's in Manhattan, so they had to charge a big price. Sure, the place they had wasn't cheap. Uh, Heard it wasn't a very big card. It was maybe a third of what the show was. So I'm interested to see the one they do in Florida. Um, I think it's November-ish, if anybody knows. I've heard that Baltimore's in January. I don't know how many they're planning on doing. I wish Fanatics would come out. I don't know. I do have like a tops.com thing that they were posting stuff for the weekend. Um, you know, Suze did say something about she knew why, but it'd have been nice to have other companies represented there in the card world, but it was only Tops, which it was their fan fest. Now, if it's just a card show like what I've been hearing in Florida, do they have other ones? I don't know. So, uh, I don't know. I just don't want Fanatics to. I already feel that way because of the price of their retail. Their uh, the Chrome was just dumb price, and what's in it, what you get out of it, is definitely not there. And I've been one that always been fighting. It's more of an entertainment value than a resale value. When you're looking at it for a hobby purpose. Now it still could be for some. The price, it doesn't really matter, but for me, it kind of crossed that line for me last year, and to where the value to the entertainment wasn't there, right? For whatever that reason is. I don't know how other people feel. Of course, it's always the smartest way. I will never disagree with somebody that says the smart move is to buy singles. Of course, that's the smart move. Uh, you know, and I guess I'm interested. I get Victor said that new Tops basketball Chrome sold out. I'm interested to see how that sells on a secondary market. If it sells, with no team logos. I saw the football cards. The football cards didn't look half bad. So, Pyres, is that a fan fest or is that a card show? Is it going to be just like what they did in New York? Because Orlando was telling me that it was supposed to be more of a card show. But I just anything that's connected with Fanatics, I think it's just going to be ultra modern, high end stuff. I don't know if it's all gonna, be and if nobody's there to buy the vintage, I guess it doesn't matter if it's there or not. You just don't want to set up. I heard it was $3,000 a table. That's what B Roth was seeing in his video. He knows people in the dealer world. PNC Park in Pittsburgh, September 20. That'd be interesting. I just I I I this the pricing to me. They wouldn't allow them to bring their own cases because the Zion people were giving them the cases to use, and they were selling them for $129 a pop. Uh, it just seems like to me it was a huge money grab and using a hobby to do that, almost carpetbagging. I mean, they're talking about they want a tenfold a hobby. I still don't know if this is the way to do it when you exclude 90% of the people. When you make a ticket price to get in $50, when you make cards retail $25 a blaster, and you don't have nearly the stuff in it that makes it worth 16, 15, $12 a blaster. I don't know how you tenfold a hobby is like what they were saying. Um, it's going to discourage a lot more people than it will anything else. And I've been saying I want to see what Fanatics does, and this is their first full season in baseball where they're kind of running things. Yeah, margins are tight everywhere, so to make the worthwhile money, corner the market. Well, that's what they've done, Sadler fan, and I don't know if we're going to be better off. I'm still waiting to see the outcome. I'm not poo-pooing the whole thing. I think, I don't know about all the margins. I feel like a lot of things going on is price gouging. I work in a manufacturing plant. I've seen some stuff firsthand that we've had to deal with at my plant. Not what we make, but to get the stuff we make. We did an addition that started before COVID, and then all of a sudden after COVID, it was 5 times more expensive to finish the addition. Um, and the stuff was already there. I, it to me, it's kind of crazy uh, when it comes to some of that stuff. And I think a lot of the like supply chain and all that is worked out. Uh, and Fanatics owns one of the printing places, so they're making money. And I'm not angry. I just because people are buying the stuff. There's more and more stuff being left on the shelves when you go to certain Walmarts and stuff. I can see marked down stuff all the time where stuff's getting marked down to the original, what the good old days prices at least. Uh, but you know, I don't see it out there starting at that price. There's going to be Heritage. It seems like Heritage is going to be everywhere forever for the last 2 years. That's the stuff they just print, print, print. Um, it's a fun rip. I love Heritage, but it's still not worth it to me anymore because my way of hobby now has changed drastically, right? I am keyed in on a handful of players, a handful of the sports, and I'm in Star Wars and some other non-sports. I bought some Disney cards the other day. I you know I'm really zeroed in on what I am collecting. I jumped a lot harder on the vintage side of things. If y'all, seeing what I got at the National, but then again, I came right back and bought nothing but modern because I collect all facets of it. I try to be well rounded in my hobby and enjoy all parts, the history, the history I'm living in, as well as the history of my past. I want all of it, and I can't get all of it. It's not the '80s anymore. And the people that lived in the '70s and '80s, when we collected, it was just easy. You just went, bought a quarter. You had a quarter. You went and got you a pack and went home and opened it. What's up, Clay? Um, I feel like it was just a different time, and I for you guys that sell out there because the wax is going up. Are you adjusting your singles prices to compensate for that wax to go up? Is a common card now no longer, I don't know, a nickel, 10 cent, 18 cent, 25 cent? I mean, you know, do we treat it differently? Um, it's I, I've seen some crazy pricing here in the last month or so. Not all across the board, not by a long shot, but every once in a while you'll see some crazy stuff out there, which is nothing new. You always got people trying to, get crazy prices, but it just seems like it's a little more out there, um, especially on like short print cards of lower end players. When they make, the golden mirror or something, just trying to get the most out of it, which I can't fault them. If somebody's going to pay it, they're going to pay it. This guy's just not. I'm just trying to, my brain, how it works, and I'm not I try to put things in categories and logically look at stuff, and it's been tough and on this hobby with that, and it's all right. I try to sell singles at $1.50 minimum. Anything less, I list. I'm gonna buy sports cards. Okay, and that's who Amari. I'm glad you answered because I know you sold. I know you sell cards. You bought lots. I thought about starting to do what Mike has been doing for a few years now. I thought about that a few years back, buying cases, and doing the grind. Got thrown out the plate. Been on that grind, but I just didn't do it. We got Mr. Mike. Oh, did you see the play at the plate, sir?
I did not, but I heard you say something about it.
Have you watched any of tonight's game from Williamsport?
I have not. I would like to, but I have unfortunately missed it.
It's a good game, 0-0. I just asked did you hear the question I asked?
I heard you talking about the wax and stuff, but
Right.
specifically, I would love to hear it again. As you stated, it's been a little bit of a tough weekend.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you took some time. I knew,
I'm all about setting alarms and finding a way to squeeze it out. At least a few minutes for the Big Scott 35 program for.
I appreciate that
for Let's Talk and for your dedicated audience. So I hope I can add at least a small amount of value to them.
Oh, yeah, because so you sell a ton of wax, breaking wax and stuff. So now with the prices going up, like now you're getting in some of the newer finest and stuff, which the price on that went up a little bit this year, didn't it? Or is it still where it's been like 200?
I'd have to look up what last year's was, but yeah, it's continued to go up a solid percentage year by year. Like it's been raising like 25%, and this year it came out at pre-sale was like $250, which I actually didn't get in on it at that. I actually, for the couple boxes I opened, it was a little bit more than that. Not too much, but like I've seen it as high as like $350 to $375 a box now. Because the product, like by the case, I've seen a handful of bad cases, like where you pretty get skunked. I've seen a lot of good cases where you probably get at least sort of close to your case value, and like some you do better than that. But if you're buying it by the box, it's still a crapshoot. It's like the old days of buying a pack, except a pack of cards was like $5. So it's like everything, it's really not worth the price it is right now. And again, part of it is Fanatics taking advantage and currently, continuously raising the prices, probably selling a little more direct to consumer and raising those prices to the breakers. And of course, the hobby shops and such just have to keep up with the breakers. And then, in the case of Finest, a little bit, this is on the, direct consumers too, because people are willing to pay up even more.
So especially like with the Finest, yeah, Clay, it surely does. But it's just not inflation, Clay. This is a phenomenon that started during COVID. And I think the reason the prices go up is because people keep paying it. And I'll get to the other reasonings here in a minute. But what I wanted to ask Mike was, in my opinion, Mike, since especially with this and the Finest and all this, are you finding yourself to have to raise your price up on the basic singles, or because I know it's just 100 card set, right?
Well, this year Finest is like 100 common cards, and then it's 100 uncommon and 100 rare. So I mean, and then all the parallels and stuff. Yeah, so it's 300 cards, and there are some players that are in all three levels. I'm pretty sure Bryce Harper, and I'm sure there's other star players. He's just the one, because I collect them, that stands out to me, is in all
Right.
three levels. And I think the biggest of rookies, I'm pretty sure, in all three levels. And then there's other players that are only in a few, like just Philly's perspective from knowing them, Johan Rojas, who is a talented rookie, but not someone who's necessarily excelled at the major league level, nor is he highly sought after in the hobby. He's only in the uncommon. And then there's a veteran player like JT Realmuto, who's obviously a really good player, but just, doesn't get a lot of hobby respect. I
Right.
think he's only in the rare level. So I think your boy Pete is only in 2 levels or something too. I don't even know if he's in the
Right.
basic part of the set. Um,
I
but
keep seeing the one of the inserts of him. That's what
but
I
the
keep seeing.
parallels are really like, I mean, it's weird. Obviously, they make more product than they used to, but you have
Right.
some of these cards that are only numbered to 50, but they're so damn hard to get, and the boxes, cases, the prices are so high that I get it. There's two arguments. There's the argument like, well, the card's only worth so much, and of course the market's going to set that, right? If you have enough Pete Alonso collectors that have, you know, wallets that, are bottomless, the price will go up a little bit. Or if you
Mhm.
don't have anyone collecting, it's only going to go for so much. But like, I get
Well,
listing the price is high. Like, I guess my thing is, I'm going to, at least the big cards, the cards of, if I have a Jackson Holiday rare parallel numbered, of course I'm going to list it fairly high and kind of test the waters, see what kind of offers you get. But then you
right.
are gonna. It's like anything. You're gonna have some players. You're gonna have a guy like Ketel Marte, right? This guy's this year specifically, he's one of the top 10 players in baseball. He's been spectacular. He's been really good for a long time. He was one of.
Yeah.
He
Last
didn't get
couple
a
of
lot
years.
of he didn't get a lot of attention last year. You heard about Corbin Carroll. You heard about the pitchers being hot, but he was one of the catalysts for the Diamondbacks, reaching the World Series. He was MVP of the NLCS. Just doesn't get the attention really in baseball, and especially in the hobby. If I get a numbered card of him, the market's pretty poor on him. There's just not that many Ketel Marte collectors, and there's very few Diamondbacks collectors. So even if it's a card that's one in 100,000 packs, like, honestly, even if you list it for $30, if you get an offer for $10 or $15, you might have to take it, because that might be the only offer you get. Like, it's just.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a spike in prices or nothing, but I just feel like how's it not happening, right? I've been just being very I don't jump on the stuff when it first comes out. And I know, a couple of things I will. I know if it's something that's going to be hard, if you get a nice rookie card chase parallel, you kind of have to grade it. Yeah. Unless if you want to get the most out of it, yes. Uh, I feel like, I don't have FOMO as much as other people do. So I try to just wait a few weeks and I start seeing the prices come down to normal. Because people, again, the people that have to sell stuff to buy more stuff to sell or pay bills, so those prices come down to. But also, to get to Clay's point before, what I was going to say was, so these prices of these boxes are keep going up, and it almost, and me and you and all of us at the house were talking about this. I just feel like it makes people collect wax and sell the wax and not the cards. Because once you open up the box, the value's gone. So,
Well, yeah, it's definitely gotten worse,
right.
in terms of the value in opening the box. And I guess it depends too what you're doing. Right? If you're only, I'm pretty much just an online seller. I'm sure if I was able to do shows and such, you could do a little bit better with some of the singles and stuff. But online, it's so much of what have you done for me lately with specific stuff that, like, if you're not first to market or if you're not really early to market, it does not that things don't sell. Like, Topps Heritage, even that, like, almost every short print from this year that I've listed, and I've relisted, multiple times. they're only $2-3 a piece. I've sold almost every one because Heritage is still one of the sets. While popularity has waned considerably from years ago, it's still a set that a lot of longtime collectors, a lot of set builders continue to work on. So they're not necessarily in a rush to just, I got to get everything immediately. Now they might have to jump on, if they decide to do something really rare out of the set, they might have to jump on that immediately. But the more common stuff they can work on throughout the year. So I noticed they continue to sell, but some of this fancy new stuff, it's like, 3 weeks later, 10 new things have come out and it's, almost forgotten about to a degree. I mean, stuff will, of course, still move, but the slowdown is incredibly noticeable. So,
Right. Yeah, I just because you know how I feel about closed product. I want what's in it. I don't want the box.
well, I
Box is
guess
trash.
what to finish the point is what makes it even worse with the opening it again, like you mentioned, it's like a car. You go buy a brand new car, you drive it off the lot. 20 minutes later, you change your mind, you come back. You're going to at
Yeah.
best get three-quarters of your money back. And that's if you're
Right.
lucky and you got something really nice. And honestly, it's like that with a wax box. I mean, honestly, if you get half your money back, you're probably lucky. But what makes it more difficult now is, if you open, let's say, a box of Topps Chrome, say we bought a jumbo box, you and me decide to buy a jumbo box on release day, and we just say we're going to open it. If you get a Pete Alonso, you're going to keep it. If we get a Bryce Harper, I'm going to keep it. Otherwise, we're just going to sell it all and then whatever, use that money to buy another box. We just decide to do that for fun. If we open it on release day and list it, we might sell off some of the inserts. We might sell off some of the refractors, the common stuff, collectors and stuff buy it. If we decide to do that same thing today and we list it all, it's going to be that much harder to sell the stuff because they made so much of the things.
Right.
There's a billion things listed. So even if people are still buying it, you're going up against so many people. I mean, if we open a $400 box of Topps Chrome Jumbo and we don't hit it big and we list everything, we might be lucky to get $10 back on that box.
Right.
Long term over the course of a year, we might get back $100 or $150. But I mean, it's just so slow moving. It's
Right.
so it
That's
can be hard to justify ripping the box open, especially if you don't do it, very early.
Yeah, and for me, on my end of things, I like I've always said, I open for entertainment value, but part of that entertainment value is getting stuff in it that makes you happy. And if you're getting a bunch of junk, nobody's happy with junk, a reseller or a person in the hobby.
No, that's the thing. We talk about value, and some people, I know it's very easy to get in a habit of like, oh, I don't care about it. But it's like you care about the value, but you don't care about the value. It's not all about the value, but you care somewhat about the value. It doesn't mean that's your necessary goal, but it's the same thing about going out to eat. You go somewhere and you spend $15-$20 on a meal. You're not maybe expecting the world, but you certainly don't want to feel like you just got something that you could have microwaved for 30 cents. Like, same thing with opening a product. You don't want to feel like you got ripped off. That's just going to be a bad feeling. That's going to leave a bad taste. And the same thing with when you're collecting stuff. I don't think you're planning on getting rich with your Pete Alonso collection, and I'm certainly not planning on getting rich with the Phillies collection. But if we collected Wander Franco because we liked watching the guy play, I think we'd feel sick to our stomach right now because, one, we would have invested hundreds or thousands of dollars into something, and we can't even get enjoyment out of it. Not only could we not sell those Franco cards to even come close to getting our money back, but you'd almost be embarrassed to have it. You couldn't give it to, a family member, a kid. Like, what do you do with it? So, I feel like that's kind of where it's not all about the value, but you also don't want to feel like you're getting taken, if that makes sense.
I love this by Joe here, Dr. Exclusive. Are you going to pay $250 to go to a concert that plays one song? Not much entertainment value there. And that's true. I mean, and they might not even play one of their hits. They might play a B-side. So, I mean, that it's just so much wrong. But here we go with the collectors. So what happens is all this stuff the collectors end up getting it one way or another. I've seen so many finest breaks that are 10 cases size breaks. So that tells me how much finest was made. And these breakers, and this breaker is pretty legit that I'm talking about on YouTube. I've been breaking with him when he was a small breaker on YouTube. Now he seems, I think he's one of their main ones. And I mean, he's just constantly just, these huge player breaks. And I just, that is that where our hobby is going? What's up, Hodges?
Unfortunately, yes, because I think the breakers are getting a high percentage of it. I think the hobby
Right,
shops are getting less and less. Of course, they sell some direct,
right,
Fanatics to us, but they're not, they're charging us more than they used to charge the distributors. So they're getting more
right,
money out of it. And then if they're getting it on their, I think they really want to see it go on Fanatics Live because then they're getting a kickback on it again. Sort of like, the
right.
Phillies, Mets, your favorite baseball team, the Braves. If Carlisle buys, ticket to the Braves game, he buys a pair of tickets, and then he goes, "Oh, I can't go to that game. I'll go to another one." You sell it on, whatever they're using now. I know what's it called now? They always advertise it. It used to be StubHub. Now they're using their main thing. Either way, you sell that ticket. Braves, Major League Baseball is getting a cut of that now from the ticket
Right.
reselling thing. So they're, making money
Oh,
again.
I
So they
know.
want you
Yeah, I
to,
know what you're
they
talking about.
they
Yeah.
want you to sell it, and then that person. So
SeatGeek. Battery said
yeah,
SeatGeek.
yeah. Now it's SeatGeek, which honestly I still buy my tickets on StubHub. I actually find there might be less tickets available, but I find better deals, even though
Right,
it's only a couple times a year. But
right.
regardless, I think that's the direction it's moving more. And with products getting so expensive, it's harder to justify opening much of it. Maybe a box here or there for fun, but it's going the way of the breakers. And I mean, I think that's their formula, and that's probably the way it's going to continue to go, which I guess at least it's getting ripped and the singles are making it to market. It's better than everything being stashed. Of course,
Right.
stuff will continue to be stashed, but I don't know. There's obviously plenty of stuff still not getting ripped right now, but I feel like it's probably a
Thanks,
little less
Hodges.
than it was. Because
Yeah.
right now, I
So
mean, there's so few products that have risen much in price and demand that.
right. Zach says breaking is a slot machine to a lot of people. That's driving up the price. People hooked on buying $25 spots, hoping to win more than $25 is during the price. Yeah. So Zach, for me personally, I will do 25 on like a 10 lot on a 10, you know, uh, box break or a 10, uh, not 10 boxes, but 10 case break. I couldn't get it out. Uh, I will not try to overpay for anything. And I always look to see what Pete's got in that thing, or David Wright, or if Gary Carter's in it. I those are the three that I'm mainly looking for. Uh, I just because to me that's the best, still kind of the best way. And if you get it cheap enough, it works out better. I did pretty good on a Topps Chrome break. Uh, what's up, Matt? Yeah, I feel like, and I'm not really liking that because those breakers that are buying that much are not paying the same price we are for that product. Mike, what are you doing over there? What's that noise?
Well, you hear the scanner going?
I hear something going on over there. Hope nobody's got earphones on. Let's see, Omari. I also consider
Yeah,
price.
sorry. I'm on the iPhone microphone. Let me get the headset. Does that sound better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my phone sitting right next to my scanner. So if anyone's looking for Topps finest singles, some are being
Right.
scanned at this moment, and they'll be up in
That's
the
okay.
eBay store shortly.
Yeah, so collectors looking at it, trying to rationalize product through a collector's point of view, just isn't looking at the whole picture. If Stadium Club goes for $200, I'll be done opening product. Matt, you're right. You're right.
Stadium Club will be overpriced again because it is every year at this point in time. But I will say, at least for product, old school products
I
like
got you,
that,
Jack.
a lot of the breakers, they'll do some of it, but they won't go crazy because these guys hate sorting base. They know a thing like Stadium Club is hard to sell with just the hits because there's so few hits. So I don't think they break as much of it, which I think reduces the price a little bit. It'll still be,
Right.
120 to 150 a box probably, which is a lot for two autographs. I personally almost never get a good autograph in Stadium Club, but I just love the look of that product so much. So
I think it's the best like retail product out there.
because that's a product like we talked about having fun ripping stuff. At least when you open a box of that, even if it's a blaster box of 7 packs, you're getting 40 some cards. At least each pack you're looking, you're getting, either a really cool image of
Right.
whoever, Roberto Clemente, that you've either never seen or you haven't seen in a while, or you haven't seen that specific angle. Or even if you get, some, I don't know, some random outfielder and it's just like an awesome looking card, you're getting something that'll bring a smile to your face. You're getting some cards that you can at the very least toss in a binder and enjoy looking at some point.
Right.
You're getting something, you're getting an experience out of it beyond just, did I get anything of value in it?
I just want to talk real quick about what's going on today. About somebody I have spoken poorly of in the past this year when he played with the Marlins. But Jazz Chisholm, he's out for the year. But he's there in uniform, and he's gone around and sat with every Little League team in the crowd and talking up with the parents and everything. I got to give him mad respect because I did not see this from this guy when he was a Marlin. But he went to New York, and his whole attitude has changed, and I'm loving it. I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm back to the whole thing. But yeah, I feel good about Jazz Chisholm. Good for him. Pete Groot. He's grown up a little bit.
It's nice to see because he is one of those guys who's kind of an excitable type of player. He just
Got a good talent. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he had to get out of Miami because we all know
Right.
that's got to be a drag to play. I mean. Obviously, that franchise has had some success. They've won a couple World Series, only been around for 25 years or so. But I don't know. They just seem. I can't imagine going there every day. I feel like I'd be playing in, Double A somewhere.
So yeah, exactly. Zach goes. I went to a local show today. Mentioned Fanatics Fest a couple of times. Dealers acted like it was the giant elephant in the room that was going to destroy the hobby. Yeah, and like I said, Zach, it took after I did my video and I thought about it today at work and just kind of mulling over my video yesterday. I had to remember, Mike, that since you got here late, that Fanatics is more than just a top owner of Tops, right? They have their hand in all kinds of sports, every sport out there, every college. So this was more of a fest for their company more than it was for Tops, right? Tops is just one part of their company. So that was something that I wanted to remember today when I came into this tonight. It still doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside with the direction I'm seeing Fanatics going with Tops, but I did make me come off the ledge a little bit. Mari says Jazz got a bad rep with the Marlins. He was a flashy player that was playing for a curmudgeon of organization. Win or lose, the guy's going to have fun. I love the fun aspect of it, Amari. I do. He did made some bad decisions on the field. Not necessarily helped his team a lot. But in New York, he's not the guy. In Miami, he was the guy. And he's not even the fourth guy on New York's team. So, maybe that humbled him a little bit. I love what I see tonight and what I've been seeing from him with New York. So that makes you. I've thought the same thing with Harper. Harper going to Phillies. He grew up fast. Sometimes people just need a change of atmosphere. Go from a losing team to a winning team, things like that, and see how a winner works instead of playing in Miami. That might be the difference. To grow the hobby, you're going to have to attract people that would have no reason to go to the traditional show, get them there and show them the hobby. See, Zach, I agree, but also to grow the hobby, you got to give them a reason to, and I see you're giving them a reason. But like I was saying before, by making your retail, jacking the price up and giving me less. Now, new to the hobby, people don't realize that, but they're not going to be dumb forever. They're going to open up a $40 blaster of chrome and get nothing. That's going to drop them way faster than going to a fan fest in Manhattan or wherever it was and throwing balls to running a 40-yard dash or shooting basketballs. I mean, Travis Scott was there yesterday or today signing at some booth. I mean, yeah, you want to, things like that does help the hobby, and I agree. But don't get away from the things that worked in the past that got people in. We always talk about what about the kids, but to me, it's more about what about the everyday guy in the hobby. And I think we're going off of what happened during the pandemic where the world went crazy for almost 2 years to where we're losing a little bit of that now. Like I said, the wax at the National was sad. Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, there was a lot less than I remember seeing in the past.
The tables were small.
There weren't too many guys in the past. You'd get more guys. I did see one guy with some like random non-sports stuff, but I kind of passed by him once. I don't remember even seeing him towards the end. I just think I didn't. Once I had seen the entire show, I just didn't go through that area much. But like, you'd have a few guys that had a small selection of random old stuff, or maybe a handful of new boxes. But the big wax area just did feel pretty light. Less selection than past years, less new stuff. Obviously, a focus on selling the crap that you got the silver packs out of. For all the big boys like David Adams, Blowout, Steel City. Was there someone else in that section? I don't even know if there were a couple.
Yeah, even at wild card. Upper Deck had a very nice setup. One of their best setups they've ever had at a show.
Yeah, but they weren't really selling product. They were more just
but they had a very nice setup.
Yeah.
David Adams, Steel City. Who was the third one there? Steel City, David Adams.
The guys you're not a huge fan of.
Yeah, Blowout. So that was the three there. I didn't see many smaller people like we've seen in the past. And I'm going to read this because Zach's giving me some great stuff here. Thanks to everybody in the chat. It's been awesome. The hobby isn't just buying packs though, just cards in general. That just them seeing how much they can charge until people stop buying. And Zach, I'm the fool because people are still buying the stuff, right? They're putting it out there. People are still buying it. But I don't want them to get discouraged after buying it that one time and you want to come back. We have to remember what we do as a hobby is very low on most people's priority list when they go to the store, right? That $25, $40 to a lot of people, including myself, is a lot of money. That's why I decided not to buy that stuff, and I'd rather pick and choose my cards. I'll make my own box. So that's the way I feel about it. But those boxes in retail is a gateway to the hobby. People don't go to a hobby shop in most times to start in the hobby. They're going to go by and go, oh, there's some baseball cards over here, especially older people that used to pick them up as a kid, or kids that just see it over there beside the Pokemon and they start wandering further down the aisle. That's usually the gateway into our hobby.
Yeah, and they're doing a bunch of ways to try and promote things. I've been hearing a lot of commercials on the Phillies radio, like during their games specifically, where it's Topps commercials all about collecting and talking about it's very generalized, but the hottest stars, the up and coming rookies, legends of the past. They mention that you can get memorabilia cards and autographed cards from some of your favorite players, stuff like that. So I think things like that will at least put it in someone's mind, even if they're barely paying attention. Maybe they think about it or they harken back to their past. But yes, being in retail stores, I'm in retail stores enough to see where I see kids picking up boxes and asking their parents, or I see like fathers and sons looking around, like picking, deciding if they're going to buy a box or something. So I know people have speculated in the past, is there going to continue to be retail? I think retail, and I would think Fanatics is smart enough to know this, they might change the eventual way they distribute a little bit, but they know they need to have stuff in basic stores just where people are passing by, and being towards the front of the store up by the lanes is premium real estate for that, where people see it. And, that's where even all this stuff that like, I don't get, like, I don't understand Pokemon. I can't conceive how it's so popular, but obviously it is. And it's been around for a long time. But you have a kid in that, and maybe, the dad's with them, and the dad kind of starts just, the dad thinks it's nonsense and is just sitting there and wandering, and then starts looking at like baseball or football and thinking about like, oh, I remember when I was a kid. Maybe they get interested enough to buy a pack or buy a box, and then that gets them started. Because we hear about it all the time. People who collect, and they're like, oh, well, my kids are more into Pokemon. So they buy Pokemon for their kids, and they buy sports for themselves. And then they intermingle it a little bit back and forth, but the priorities are obviously a little stronger from one individual
Zach,
to another.
Another great point by Zach. And thank you so much for this. This is awesome. I feel like kids get introduced to the hobby watching guys like Mojo and Jeff on YouTube, not just buying a pack at a grocery store like they might have in the past. Now, I agree with that at a certain age. I'm talking about, and I'm not one that goes, what about the kids? I don't say that. But I think the younger kids, not teens, not older teens, because I think that's the Jeff Wilson Mojo market, right? The 13, 14, 15 on up. I'm talking about kids that might not even watch regular YouTube. They're watching young, whatever kids YouTube, that might wander down to the Tops or to that. And we can't forget, I mean, the product that Caitlin Clark product and the WNBA product coming out, that might bring some more females into this than before. I know there's men that are ready for that WNBA product to come out.
I know one specifically. We'll see if they actually open any. I don't know. They've been 5 years overdue to open stuff ever since they got burned on Decision 2020 or whatever the hell they were opening.
Right. So, but I completely agree with you, Zach, that those people, and don't forget I think Card Collector 2 gets so overlooked when it comes to this. I think he has more of the young people than either one of these guys do. Ryan is great with the young people. And I agree 100% with you, Zach.
I think the thing with him too is, while there is an aspect that likes to watch him or that likes the celebrity of him in terms of buying and selling stuff, and there are people all the more popular guys benefit from people selling stuff to them because they want to sell stuff to them.
Right.
I do think the way he does it is much less focused on the transactional and getting up on someone, just money. And he does attract a more youthful crowd. Like a lot of these popular guys attract a crowd of maybe 14 to 25, whereas I saw a lot of 7, 8, 10-year-olds at the National who like just wanted to get their picture with him, who liked watching him.
Right.
And it wasn't all about, it was about acquiring cards for your collection, not necessarily just buying cards to add to your briefcase to turn around in 10 minutes to then turn around for something else. So he is definitely, an asset that helps for sure. And I think I think the amount of players we're seeing getting involved in the hobby is a really good thing too, because that's something that's going to bring awareness, and that's going to
players that are talking about being in the hobby.
I think,
you know what I'm saying?
help with kids.
I think before they would never talk about it. Now they're
because they were probably embarrassed. They probably were like, "Oh man, they don't want anyone to know."
Right.
But now, I mean, you hear about it all the time. So,
right. And I mean, I think like tonight, I've been watching this with ESPN, and I think Fanatics is missing the boat on this. I haven't seen anything with Fanatics. I haven't seen much Topps logos in the stadiums.
Honestly, that they should have been giving away packs of stuff to every kid in that stadium. Honestly,
right? Why are they not at the Little Williamsport?
If you want to, they're in they're at the Javits Center,
right? And that's where we need to be. And also, did you get that your boy Matt Vierling was mic'd up tonight in the field?
I think I saw that was one of about 10 messages I missed from different people.
Okay.
At one point, so I did not get to hear it, but I like Matt Vierling. He's a nice guy. I think Ed might be the one who's the biggest of Matt Vierling fans. I think he was heartbroken when he got traded, but
right. And Zach, thank you for bringing. It's all great points, because my opinion is just one small little opinion, and I don't mean 100% over the top. That's where it all comes from. All of this together is the way it works. And I saw in the pictures and stuff at FanFest, I heard it was great for kids with Fanatics. Fanatics is selling a brand, not just Topps. So I heard over the weekend they did very well on the FanFest part. The cards, I've been hearing mixed things about.
Yeah, I think that from what I have heard, it sounds like it was a mixed bag. I think some guys did really well. Some guys were probably underwhelmed. I think there certainly was some traffic, but it sounds to me like the card show itself, honestly, would not be worth, at least for me, spending probably minimum $125 to get to, to just go for the day between travel and getting in there. I feel like the Philly show is probably a better quality card show. And I think if you skip the National to go to Fanatics Fest, obviously we all have different reasons. And if you wanted to go see the UFC ring, maybe it was okay. But if you're strongly about the cards and community, I think you probably made a big mistake. But I mean, again, that's everyone's prerogative to do what they want. But it just sounds to me like in terms of the card show aspect, not even close to the National. As an event, as a sports event, I'm sure it's awesome, but it's also probably, Zach, like many things, while there's cool aspects of it, I'm sure the cost, and I'm sure there's some levels of frustration to go in that too. It sucks a lot to spend a lot of money to stand in line most of the day to do a handful of things, even though some of those things might be really cool opportunities. It doesn't mean as much to me. I've had plenty of opportunities in my life to be up close and personal and talk to athletes and stuff. So like, sure, it's neat to get that opportunity, but like, it's not the thrill for me as it is for some other people who maybe don't get to experience that. So it all depends on experiences.
So let me ask you this, Mike. Okay, you go there, they're shooting hoops, pick and slap shots. You did that. It comes back next year. Do you want to go back and do that again? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
is
mean,
it worth?
I think you're going to need. It's going to depend if you have that great of a time. I guess it can be worth it, but otherwise, I feel like maybe it's one of those things you only do every couple years. It's fun to go
Right,
to every couple years. You don't feel like you have to go every year. Obviously,
right,
different opportunities for autographs or pictures, and I'm sure they'll always bring in something new to try and attract people to come back there. But
right.
I don't know, those
Yeah,
types of events that are overwhelming and super big, I don't feel like I need all the time. Like I'm looking forward to, and I hope it's like it was in '96. Obviously, at this point, it was a long time ago. But back in '96, the All Star Game was in Philadelphia, and I was lucky enough to go to the game. And I remember and again, the All Star Game was a different thing back then because we didn't have the interleague play had just started. We didn't have
right,
interleague play daily and such. So like that was the first time I got to see a lot of the baseball's biggest stars like in person. And that was awesome. And the home run derby was amazing. And it was a different time. Home run derby tickets were like $10 back then. And in
right.
2026, they're probably going to be $150 at a minimum. But what I do remember having a ton of fun at, and
True.
again, I was probably 14 back then. I remember going with my brother, and I think a few of my other brothers may have gone. My dad brought us to the All Star Fan Fest down at the convention center in Philadelphia. And I do remember like Tops and Upper Deck and all the companies were there. Obviously, they were just, booths there. It wasn't a card event, but I remember getting like
Right.
free samples and packs and stuff. And obviously, it was all about baseball, and they had a million things you could do. And I just remember being like, whoa, this is the greatest thing ever. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. I don't know if anyone in the chat's been able to attend something like that recently, an All Star Fan Fest, but I know it's in
Well,
Philadelphia in 2 years,
I
so that'll
guess that's
be
what they were
pretty neat.
comparing this fan fest to. This Fanatics fan fest was like a all-star fan fest.
Yeah, but I just obviously it's huge, but can they do like how big was the baseball section? How big they have so many, having every sport in there, and then I know they had a ton of like fan shops because obviously they want to sell
Right,
jerseys and hats and all this,
right.
nonsense we buy.
Yeah, I just yeah, this whole weekend and thing, it just had me really thinking. And I bought a couple of boxes at the and who if there's any Star Wars left when I get paid again, I'll probably pick up a box of Chrome if there's any left. Uh, if not, oh well, I'll get it next time.
What's in a Topps
Um,
Chrome box, like the new Topps Chrome Star Wars? So what does a set of that consist of? Is that like a 100 card set? Is
no,
it?
it's pretty big. I think it's the same as their they actually have now a Star Wars flagship, and that's what it's based on. So it's all the whole Star Wars universe.
So it's like hundreds of cards.
I haven't looked to see what it
But I mean,
is.
what do you get in a
I've seen
box? Do you know what you get in a hobby box? Like, is it similar to baseball now, where the value is kind
it's
of
one.
rough, or is it?
It,
Do you get a little
so a
more
hobby
color
box is
parallels inserts?
$130, $138 for a hobby box. Excuse me. From Tops. I think it's one auto, and I don't know what the parallels are. There's usually 4 or 5 parallels, but you get and I'm not talking about refractors. I'm talking about color or and inserts. You'll have something in every pack.
I'm
Oh
sure they
yeah,
make
see,
far less
all
of
the
it too.
I went to the Fan Fest in KC when they had the All Star game, and that's what Fanatic Fest reminds me of from the videos I've seen, but a lot cheaper to attend. Yeah, the Chrome is just it's not even like Galaxy. It's actually like most of it is character driven. So it's portraits of the characters and stuff like that. It's not scene driven like the Galaxy or some of those other stuff. If you know what I'm talking about. Um, so
Yeah.
it's more what it's up my what I like to collect for Star Wars. So I just didn't have the money right now, so I had to pay for 2 SGC returns and a CGC return. So that's where my money went.
Goddamn grading.
So my CGC return wasn't all that great. I'll post a link to that on this channel to my other channel if you want to see that. It's Dragon Ball Z and Star Wars.
Did they label everything correctly? Because the last one
I have not gotten it in hand
I had
yet.
a ton.
Really, for CGC?
I just got back that I gave them at the National. I didn't open the box yet, but I think it was 4 cards in a 30 card order that were mislabeled. Granted, it was some goofy shit. There were a couple pocket schedules, but there was also like a 98 Flair Showcase that they labeled as Fleer Showcase or something. Like a mistake like that. I'm like, come on, guys. Gotta tighten things up. I know you guys are spending a lot of time out of the office, going to the National, going to Fanatics Fest. I did hear there was a huge setup for them and a huge presence. So they're definitely trying to get their name out there, which is good.
Suze showed them. They got the Halo back. They didn't have the Halo at the National, but they had it there. Funny moment in the game is the players were chanting something and Soto was giggling while he was in the bat. So, fun night. It's good to see.
Yeah, I remember, what was it, last year when the Phillies played in it?
Phillies, yeah.
And I remember the players being in the crowd for the Little League game, which was neat. Like, it's cool to see stuff like that. See the guys. I know Soto was talking up saying how much he was looking forward to it and such. I mean, it's definitely neat to see the interaction. And like this game, I think the crowd is almost exclusively Little Leaguers, which is definitely cool because it's a small ballpark. So, they get to the kids get to really experience being, up close. Because a lot of these kids, when they go to games, probably, have to sit up high or far,
Yeah, they got them sitting right on the ground level. The MLB had to help, build it up a little bit for them to have this game. When 5 years ago is when they started, I think.
I believe so.
Before COVID, yeah. I mean, I love MLB doing this type of thing. It's awesome. I mean, this is grown men playing little kids' sports, playing little kids' games. So that's what it's about. And that's what we do. We collect the cards of grown men playing a little kids' game. So, we're sitting here.
It's very easily to understand why people who don't know the hobby and might not even be big sports fans, if they find out what we do and the amount of time we dedicate to this nonsense, why they would think we're certifiably nuts. And it would be kind of hard to defend our actions and behaviors when they go, wait, you sit there and watch people talk about baseball cards while you're sitting there playing with your baseball cards, and you're spending how much money to open baseball cards? And wait, you're on eBay looking every day at baseball cards, and you're traveling halfway across the country to go to a show to hang out with a bunch of people to look at and spend a lot of money on baseball cards. You are nuts. I cannot. It's hard to defend. Doesn't mean we're not having a great time, but
I love our hobby, and I think the discussion tonight proves how much we love our hobby. Great discussion in my side chat. I thank you, everyone that's come to the channel tonight. Also, awesome chat. And this is something that we could talk about, this and grading, those two things. The grading right now, I've talked endlessly with PSA and my inner battle that I have with not sending the PSA. I was looking again about sending a PSA at regular price, a couple of cards, and I'm not going to do it, but if they just come down in the teens for me, I would be there. But right now, I mean, the price I get for CGC, it's just hard for my PC, and especially non-sport, because non-sport people, CGC has a lot of respect in the non-sport field. So I'm going to end it with that tonight. I can feel it winding down a little bit. Thanks again to everybody that came to the channel tonight. I really appreciate you. I'm going to keep saying this. Thank you for choosing me and my channel and my friends and all of us to chat with. This is, I feel like, I'm an extension of several different communities. I can see where I get, all these people over here from other channels I've worked, been with, and people I talk with. I just want to say thank you again. And Mike, thank you for taking the time to come on tonight. I know you were busy and tired, and I really appreciate that. And until next time, like, share, tell a friend, and yeah, check out Mike O's eBay and Tuesday night sales. Until next time, see ya.
See ya.